Alright, we're going to be talking about a difference of squares. So, x squared minus y squared is equal to x plus y times x minus y. It's going to be important that you know your perfect squares. So I want you to take out a sheet of paper and let's make a table for you to remember it. Alright, so let's say if we have x and x squared, so 1, 2. Alright, so we're going to do our first 10. So 1 squared is 1. 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and 100. Anytime you recognize these squares, you know we have a difference of squares. If we did 11, that's 121. We did 12, that's 144. And others. But these are the ones that you're typically going to see. You're going to have to remember them. There's no way around it, okay? Alright, so let's go through a couple of things. So we have our a squared minus b squared. Notice difference. Anytime we're talking about a difference, subtraction symbol. Okay? Subtraction symbol. One term minus another term. Okay? The factors are going to be two binomials. One's a sum, one's a difference. So 1 plus, 1 minus. 1 plus, 1 minus. Again, recognizing the perfect squares. So here we have the 4. We know that we square 2 to get 4. We square x to get x squared. We square 3 to get 9. Keyword being difference. So again, you got to see that subtraction symbol. So if we have x squared minus 36, we're going to have x plus 6 times x minus 6. The order doesn't matter. If I put x minus 6 first, it's all the same. Remember, with multiplication, the order does not matter. So if we have x squared minus 49, x minus 7 times x plus 7. Okay? What do we square to get 1? Because again, we got a square minus another perfect square. So x minus 1 times x plus 1. Recognizing perfect square, variable squared. Or anytime you have the variable to an even power. So a square, something to the 4th power, 6th power, 8th power, those are all squares. Okay? So what do we square to get 9? Hopefully you recognize it's 3. So we're going to have 3y plus 4 times 3y minus 4. None of your answers for a perfect square should be a quantity squared unless it's a perfect trinomial, which we will get to next class. But if it's a difference of squares, it's not going to factor to something squared. Okay? If we look at number 5, problematic, right? We got squares plus another square. So when this happens, we say it is not factorable. And that's what you would write for your answer. Not an F. You would write not factorable. Okay? If you need to pause at any point or go back so you can hear something again, please do so. If we look at a problem like 6, the first thing we should always look for is our greatest common factor, which we discussed in the previous video. So we want to look for that first. So between 2x squared and 50, 2 even numbers, we can factor out a 2, which will leave me with x squared minus 25. So when I write my answer, the 2, that's a part of it. So that comes along for the ride. X plus 5 times x minus 5. Seven, again, we're looking at that x squared plus 4. That plus tells me I can't factor it. Okay. 8's unique in that things are out of order. It's not in a standard form. The variable term does not come first. So let's rewrite as negative x squared plus 4. All we did was change the order. Okay. Now, going back to looking for the GCF, which in this case, we want this leading coefficient to be positive. So if we factor out a -1, we can rewrite again as x squared minus 4. So we flipped it to write it in a different order and then factored out the GCF, which in this case was a -1. So x squared minus 4, that's our difference of squares. So we can bring that -1 along for the ride. You don't have to literally write 1 if it's 1. You can just put the negative. Either way is correct. And we'll have x minus 2 times x plus 2. Again, the beauty of factoring. You can always multiply everything out to check your work. And I would advise you to do so. Okay? Pause the video for a moment. Give yourselves a little bit of time to try number 9, number 11, number 12, and number 15. Okay, so pause the video, take care of those 4, and then come back. Okay, so for number 9, you should have a plus x and a minus x. For 11, a little bit more to it. Again, we got to factor out that -1. Don't fall for just seeing the plus and assuming it's not factorable, because we had not factored out that GCF. So we have the -1, rewriting this x squared minus 16. So now my answer is the negative or opposite of x plus 4 times x minus 4. 12, no GCF to factor out. Now we see the plus. Now we can write that as not factorable. And hopefully you recognize the difference between 11 and 12. Okay, here we had a GCF which was a negative, which changed the sign. Here, no GCF. Okay. On 15, we should have x minus 4y times x plus 4y. And again, if you have to go back and try things again, please do so. Let's look at the back side. Let's look at 20. Again, 20 is 1 when you got a factor more than once. We got 5x squared minus 20. The minus is good, but we have a GCF of 5. So we can take that out. Now we're left with x squared minus 4, which again is our difference of squares. So 5 will come along for the ride. X plus 2 times x minus 2. Alright, take a moment and go for 19. We got perfect square minus perfect square, so we should have 3x plus 1 times 3x minus 1. 21. Again, we got to factor out that GCF. So we got 3 times x squared minus 16, which my final answer is 3 times x plus 4 times x minus 4. When in doubt, multiply to check your answers. Okay, let's look at 22 real quick. Not in order, so let's rewrite this as 9x squared plus 16. But the problem remains, it's not a sum. I'm sorry, it's not a difference of squares, it's a sum of squares. So this is not factorable. Alright, so if you have to rewatch, please do so. Make sure you ask questions the next time we see each other if you do have questions. For practice, make sure you log into Schoology to do the exit ticket, in addition to doing the 2 through 20 even on this practice side as well. If you would like to do more, there are more practice problems there available for you. My expectation is just to do the 2 through 20 even. And again, please let me know if you have any questions.